it's definitely been a thoughtful time. Um, what the world is experiencing is pretty devastating, and there has been some fear that our financial recovery will take precedence over our long-term climate change objectives. But I've been really encouraged, and I have a great sense of hope that there is a resounding call to action across the world from business leaders, financial institutions, academics, that our recovery has to be green and has to have climate resilience at its core. Tackling this pandemic and climate change at the same time is quite daunting, and it's probably very tempting to go back to normal, but we have this extraordinary opportunity to use the resources that we have at our disposal and the spending that we have to make to tackle both of those challenges at the same time. And there's a reason why financial institutions are calling for that. The more we learn, the more we understand that it actually just makes economic sense to protect ourselves against the effects of climate change, which will cost jobs, it will cost lives, it will be measured in decades, not years, in terms of its impact on the world and society. So we have no choice. We've got to be really brave and find solutions that accelerate our decarbonisation and help us along our recovery. There's a lot of ideas out there as to how we can do that, and that's inspiring.
This pause that we talk about is a time for innovation. It can't just be about money. It's got to be about the people. It's got to be about the ideas and the willingness to actually move into that area. Do you think we lack commitment?
I think that before COVID-19, it was a topic that was receiving a lot of attention and getting a bit of noise. It's just gone to the back of our minds a little bit, but I encourage people to think about what we've experienced within the last year. We had the Australian fires, we had the worst drought in recent memory. Climate change is here, and it's only going to get worse. So we have to amp up the energy and effort in making progress in that space. Life as we know it has come to a bit of a halt, and we do have time to reimagine how we operate. I really hope that we can readjust some of our priorities, putting a green recovery ahead of a simple financial recovery and investing in infrastructure that helps accelerate our decarbonisation and promotes environmental and social resilience. In 10 years' time, I would really like to look back on what we have done with this opportunity and know that we spent it on the right things. The built environment, or the sort of urban fabric of our cities, is so important from an environmental resilience perspective. So looking at engineered solutions that help deal with flooding or severe storms or earthquakes, making sure that every community in New Zealand has good access to those things and has within walkable distance the amenities that they need to live a good life. And I think COVID-19 has perhaps shown us what serves us within our local bubbles. Do we have access to fresh food? Do we have access to a park? Do we feel safe to walk around by foot or to cycle? And on the other hand, which you pointed out, the social fabric of our communities is so, so important. And I really discovered how vital that was when I was in Canterbury. That's where I studied my master's in urban resilience and renewal. And I looked at the relationship between the built environment and community resilience. And it's sort of not always so much about what facilities or where communities are in the city, but about how they engage with one another and how much they're empowered to sort of lead their own community initiatives. And certainly in the CBD in Canterbury, it was those transitional community-led pop-up initiatives in every little nook of the city that made it really vibrant and brought people back into the city and stimulated the economy and the small businesses and entrepreneurs. I think that civic engagement and public space and opportunities to connect with one another and support one another is so, so important. It's as important as the physical environments that we live in.
Do you think we have the innovation and commitment at the moment to respond adequately to these issues?
I think we're making some progress. So if I look at the recent budget and let's say housing and infrastructure, on the Healthy Homes boost and the injection of support to expand that program from 40,000 homes to 46,000 homes, I think that's good. It's going to be great for those additional homes and families that will benefit from a warmer, drier home. But we know that there's 500,000 homes in New Zealand that aren't adequate. They're not well insulated. They're damp and moldy. And the flow on effects of that is that we have families with more severe health issues, which then puts our health system under more pressure. They have the cost burden of higher energy bills. Their quality of life is reduced. And so I think we need to do more. It's a good signal, but we've got a long way to go.